Hello, everybody, and welcome to Redacted. That's when High XP Society plays Triangle Agency. My name is Gwen Marshall. My pronouns are she, her, and I will be the general manager, or if you prefer, GM, for our session this evening. I've got a fantastic group of players here from the High XP Society that I'll be introducing in just a moment, including our founder of the High XP Society, who will say a little bit more about our channel and group.
Hi, I am Barb Bond. I am the founder of High XP Society. We are a TTRPG actual play channel and an online community. We highlight femme presenting, BIPOC, LGBTQIA, and disabled neurodivergent players over the age of 40. So basically, people who have IXP. You can find us on Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads, and YouTube, all at High XP Society.
Thank you, Barb. All right, let's hear from Jessiye. Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm Jessiye, and I GM around the place, and I'm also on the board of Tabletop Gamers, and I was recently very doing the convention thing, and I just love telling stories with people. And you can find me at my username most places.
Hooray! Let's hear from Shannon.
Sorry, I was typing. Hi, I am Shannon. I'm doing the chat codes to tell people who everyone is. I am Shannon. I am ImagineF pretty much everywhere, all over the place. You can catch me here. You can also catch me over at Don't Kill My Character, where I play Ravens for Superhero Shenanigans, which is a Mutants at Mastermind series.
All right, and last but certainly not least, Winnie.
Hi, I'm Winnie. You can find me on Blue Sky at winniewrites.anticapitalistcatgirl.com. It's always weird when you don't have the Blue Sky normal handle, or just anywhere on anticapitalistcatgirl.com.
That's a mouthful. I love it.
And it's so much easier to type. I'm a writer, I'm a poet, and I love tabletop. So.
Hooray! All right, and we're not going to have, it doesn't look like Casper will be joining us this evening, but he was one of our wonderful players last week, and we hope to see him again in one of our future episodes. We will be here every Tuesday night at this time, except we will be alternating between two shifts. Because, you know, as some workplaces have a day shift and a night shift, or a weekday and a weekend shift, we here at the Triangle Agency have the Fractal Shift, the wonderful group here, and the Quantum Shift, which will happen starting next week for 2 weeks. And then the Fractal Shift will return in mid-April. And we will be bouncing back and forth between those two, although they do work out of the same office. So it might be that one of their shenanigans spills over into the other group, and we'll just have to see how that works. All right, so that is our wonderful cast of players. We are going to be playing the Triangle Agency RPG, which is a new game from Haunted Table Games out of Athens, Georgia. It came out last year in Kickstarter and got some wonderful, the PDF is amazing. Yeah, I recommend picking it up. We introduced our characters last week and started an adventure. So what I'd like to do now is give a little summary of what happened. And then as we move around the table in play, when it's your first return appearance on tonight's episode, feel free to introduce your character very briefly, saying their name and what their appearance is, and maybe just a little bit about their arc. And you all know what that means in among the players. And I'll get to that in a moment. So our group of investigators, let's call them, in the Fractal Shift, all are agents working for the Triangle Agency. The Triangle Agency is a non-governmental organization that is tasked, or has tasked itself, it's a little unclear, with the job of identifying tears in reality, which they call anomalies, and containing them to protect our status quo reality. Side note, the status quo reality that I'm aware of kind of sucks, so I'm not sure why you'd want to protect it, but that's a different question we can talk about at another time. They go and identify these spaces. They go and investigate whether they're dangerous. And if they are, they contain them. And the people that do the containing are one of their fieldwork teams. And that's what the Fractal team here is. So they have been tasked with traveling to Marion County outside of their town where their office is temporarily located, because it is an interdimensional office with multiple portal entrances around the world and other places beyond, but we don't need to talk about them. And they've exited one of those and found themselves in a small town of Marion, where apparently an older couple has gone missing. Now, that might not sound anomalous to most, but the report from the police tells a different story, because the police report seeing shining figures in the corn around this house, this farmhouse where the missing couple lived. They report hearing strange digital music at high volume and recurrent themes playing in various areas around the farmhouse. They report finding strange medieval artifacts just in the ditch and by the side of the road, like a blacksmith's anvil or, a loom. And when the police went to investigate what was going on and they went to the house, they found signs of struggle and evidence that firearms have been discharged in the house, and no sign of the older married couple. And so then they went looking, and they found that there was, and this was mentioned briefly, but it's worth highlighting, there was a door in the attic of the farmhouse that the police were unable to open. And not because they didn't have a key, it was physically impregnable. And that last bit, combined with all the other oddities about this case, led the Triangle Agency to determine that it was worth sending a team. And so our team went out and they traveled to Marion, and they first went to the Hart Hotel, where they interviewed Marcus Heil, the son of the missing Heil couple, and he didn't know anything about it. He was out of town. He doesn't live in Marion anymore, but he had returned when the police contacted him with questions about the missing parents. He talked a little bit about his time growing up in their home, and our I believe it was Casper's character, actually, our timepiece, turned back the time and inspired him to wax nostalgic about his childhood. And his memories and emotional intensities of his childhood seem to fixate around a particular video game. And that was given to him by his parents. And that video game kept getting referenced as they investigated the mystery here. They left the Hart Hotel and they went by a laundromat where allegedly there was a woman who had some information about what's been going on. It wasn't entirely clear that she actually knew anything real, but there was some further evidence found there that there was an anomaly involved. There was a glitch in reality, and in fact an object glitched out of reality, a soda can, and turned into an 8-bit pixelated version of itself, but in reality. And that was a sign that something's wrong here. Luckily, they covered up those loose ends, made sure nobody saw, which is very important for the Triangle Agency team. They get commendations for doing that, and demerits for failing to do so. And that, of course, is what always matters most in a corporate team evaluation, is how well you've hit your quarterly goals. So that will be an issue that is discussed at the team post mission debrief, you might say, which will happen next session, most probably. So the group left the laundromat and all the weirdness that occurred there and headed towards the farmhouse, only to be, they met a police cordon, which makes sense. They had the checkpoint set up outside the property because there were some missing persons. They thought it might be a crime scene, etc. They talked to the agents and discovered further evidence of strangeness going on. And then they set up a distraction, and some of them went into the woods nearby, and they emerged into the cornfields surrounding the house where they encountered a strange individual. After some conversation, this woman disclosed she was Lorelei, the Elvork princess of the Wooded Way, which, as it all started to come into place in their heads, they realized, oh, this is a character out of the aforementioned video game, which has been recurring over and over again, which was the Voyagers of Heroia. So that video game has somehow become manifest here around the Heil farm. And it's, for those of you who don't know, the way anomalies often work is some people have a tendency to draw this extra dimensional or reality altering power to themselves, usually because of an intense emotion or experience. So Marcus's obsession with this video game drew the energies that are resulting in this reality tear. And we're seeing evidence of that by the fact that his memories of this video game are now becoming manifest. And one of the characters, in fact, one of his 3 favorite characters in the game, now stands in reality, a digitized Elvork, as she calls herself, here in the field. And she, there was the threat of combat, but it didn't really happen. They convinced her to step into the normal briefcase they bring with themselves that helps them to contain anomalies, because she was convinced that that is the way to find the chosen one, the great hero that had gone missing for many years, namely Marcus, because their world was dying. And their world was dying because, well, I can't say, you haven't discovered why yet, but for some reason, their fictional world was decaying and dying. And so they sent their bravest warriors out to find him, out into our world. And that is at least part of the source of all of this anomaly. But there's more to it, because after they contained one aspect of this anomaly, they were able to see that there were several other characters from the game manifesting on the property, and the farmhouse itself was gradually glitching into a 8-bit pixelated digital castle. So that is where we find our party standing in the corn on the Heil property. You can see, as you look over the kind of rolling golden hills, you see the farmhouse / castle before you. Off to the left, you see what is a barn, but is slowly glitching into some sort of medieval stable. And you glimpse a large, red-armored, 2-horned individual with a giant hammer, or if you like your fantasy weapons, maul, and wandering around talking to himself. And then to the right, there is a grain silo, and there is a woman in green armor wandering around that area, clearly looking like she's looking for something. Now, when our Elvork friend Lorelei decided to submit to our party, she shared a crest. She called it the forest crest. It's emerald green crest. And she said, take this, use it to prove your value to the king. And then she stepped into the briefcase. So our group has this digital 8-bit, but yet very physically real crest that's a diamond shape. And that is where we find ourselves. So you have a castle farmhouse in front of you. You've got a barn / medieval stable on the left, and you've got a grain silo on the right. It's totally glitching into what looks like a tower, like a wizard's tower or something. And there are digital figures wandering around outside of it. What would you like to do?
Before we start, can we have Casper do an introduction?
Yes, we should.
Yes.
Casper, glad.
You know, Casper morphs time, so
Yeah. And
Absolutely.
Casper's been here the whole time.
yeah,
I've been
Yeah.
here. I
The
caught up.
entire time.
he had enough time, or I guess Tempest, they had enough time. They always do. That's how the timepiece works.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I mean, so first, Casper, go ahead and introduce yourself very briefly on the stream as a player, and then maybe we'll just at this point go around and have people introduce their characters.
Wicked. Ocio, everybody. I am Casper, DMB Ghost. My pronouns are they, he, and I am playing Tempest Fugit, or Fugit, or however you want to say it. I am basically a Time Lord, is how I'm seeing it. You can find me everywhere at Casper, DAMB Ghost.
Awesome. So, Casper, you've told us a little bit about Tempest Fugit. Tempest is a timepiece, meaning that you, like all of our heroes here, investigators, well, it's still to be determined whether they're heroic. You have what's called an anomaly.
Yes.
That's your ability to alter reality, because you too, like Marcus in a way, have had a brush with one of these tears in reality, but it's imprinted upon you. And yours allows you to manipulate time. Right?
Yes, it does. It's focused in a timepiece that I found at a thrift shop that's like been passed on to somebody or whatever. It causes lightning marks to go up my arm and up my neck and blind me in one eye, but I get to see the past, present, or future, I guess. Mostly the past right now.
Fair.
Yeah.
And when you're not using your anomaly powers, of course, only and always ever for the good of the Triangle Agency.
Absolutely.
According to the corporate mission statement, which you all know by heart now, I'm sure. When you're out in regular reality, you are an overbooked person. That's your reality identity, yes?
Yes.
What are you so busy doing?
I am a student and a tutor. I am a full-time student and a full-time tutor. Do not ask me how I do that. Sleep is not an option for my existence.
Now, you wouldn't be using your timepiece powers to help you out in your reality life, right? Away from work, because that is not sanctioned.
No, that is against company policy. I use my Starbucks powers. Well, not Starbucks, but I use powers of tea. Really, really strong black, almost like tar kind of tea that kind of gets me through. The power of caffeine shall save us all.
Double the tea bags, never take them out all day.
Absolutely.
Gotcha. Yummy.
I chew on tea leaves. It's fine.
So that is our timepiece, Tempest. Winnie, would you like to tell us about your character?
Sure. I am playing Krista Duvall, whose anomaly is worn around her neck as a choker that she can't quite seem to be able to get rid of. And she is a whisper, and her voice has the ability to impact reality and make people say things they might not ordinarily say, or bring things to mind that were just on the tip of their tongue. And yeah, so that is her anomaly. Her day job is she is a backbone. In this case, she heads an organization that dabbles in the extra legal, primarily liberating goods, funds from large corporations and redistributing them to a local community center. And now that she finds herself in the employment of the agency, she's one of their PR people.
Yes, okay. That means it is especially important for Krista to make sure no loose ends are left behind, right? Got to have the
Correct.
appearance of normality here. Speaking of normal, clearly we need to talk about Zelda next.
Wow, that's a twist. Yeah, so Zelda is an absence anomaly. Zelda stands before you pretty much wearing all black in all the ways, looking pretty chill, the exact opposite of what you would think of for a CEO, which is what she is. And in her CEO role, that mostly means other people do stuff for her. And yeah, she just kind of tells people what to do, makes things happen, and isn't really too concerned about it. What I find most interesting is her reality. And Zelda is a creature who just happens to be a vampire. So, yeah, what could go wrong? The anomaly, the absence anomaly, is pretty fun because it's all about maybe things that aren't there, not being seen, being elusive. In the book, it describes the swing set that's swinging with nobody around and things like that. So, so I kind of like that tie-in with the vampire motif for the creature. And Zelda is very old, been around for a long time, and likes to frequent the jazz club of our resident whisper over there, Krista, and may or may not also, this is a nice little throw I'm going to do over there to Jessiye, may or may not also get blood from time to time from our resident source of blood bags.
Okay. Well, Jessiye, why don't you tell us about that?
My character's name is Daisha. She is catalog is her anomaly, which basically kind of means she can alter reality by kind of thinking about small, mundane kind of things and having them appear there, like a can of pop, papers, bag of blood, a syringe, and her reality is she's a paramedic with lots of debt and student loans and the struggle life.
Relatable.
And lives with her uncle and helps him out. And so she's knows Zelda, she knows her CEO, helps out with those blood bags. And the agency, though, she's there to make sure, clean up stuff, kind of stay in the background, make sure it's everything goes well. And if anything needs a little extra cleanup, make sure it goes away.
Yeah, and they call that role the gravedigger.
Gravedigger, yes.
So if you need graves dug because there's bodies, good to know. Talk to Daisha.
Takes care of loose ends.
Yeah, I know, right? Well,
We have a fun backstory for that we'll find out about in the future.
So, Barb, last but not least, tell us about your character, Mora.
My character is Mora Flynn, and Mora is one of the rare people who actually work full-time for the agency. The vast majority of people who work for the agency don't actually work for the agency. And Mora is actually one of those people who actually draws her paycheck from the agency. She works the hotline, so she takes calls from the general public. And she has some really interesting people skills that nobody really knows where she got them from. She is, her anomaly is MANIFOLD, and that allows her to do things like create a tunnel from one place to another in a moment, or shift gravity 90 degrees suddenly and have the floor become, the wall, and everybody in that room or in that area goes that direction. So she has special skills where she can make a person go someplace and be kind of stuck there wandering until she's ready to bring them back. So all of those are very useful things to her in her reality, in her normal life.
I see.
Nobody she works with at the agency really knows much anything really about her life before the agency, and she never really offers things up about it.
Hmm.
It's almost as if she doesn't want anybody to find out her life before.
Interesting that you don't mention the reality identity you have of being pursued. Okay, well, we'll have to find out more about that, I wonder. Yeah, and I also like that your power gives you keys to the back rooms. That's good to know. All right.
Oh, yeah.
So, all right. So you are now back to the cornfield. This strange video game character just talked to you and gave you a quest and is seeking the great hero who you probably think is Marcus. And Marcus, you had the option of bringing him along, but you sent him to the hotel because he probably would have been a big loose end. Anyway, she's taken care of. You have her crest. There are 2 more heroes and a castle. And every once in a while, you're hearing digital music, and it's on loop, and it's kind of this 8-bit, low-res, quasi-fantasy music that I won't hum because if I try, I will just accidentally say the music from one of my favorite old 80s 8-bit adventure games.
Krista and I were still at the police line, so we're going to load up in the Laymaster 5000 and drive it up to the house.
Yes.
And here it is. Laymaster 5000 is entered chat.
So yes, there's
That didn't take very long.
There is a wonderful van that was given to you as your requisition from the Triangle Agency so that you would blend in. And it's a 70s van with the bubble windows and a big, I think it was a unicorn painting on the side, really great. And so you pull up in that thing, and you've successfully manipulated. I believe it was Mora that used the hotline power. Was it?
I did.
Or the manifold power? I mean, no.
I did not use manifold power. I actually called on the agency to alter reality instead.
That's what it was. Thank you.
And I chose not to change the amount of chaos. I think there were 2 chaos or something that came out of it, and I chose not to do anything about those.
Because whenever you use your anomaly power, or when you call on the agency to alter reality to your specifications, you roll the dice. And when you roll, you can succeed or fail, but you almost always create a little chaos that allows me to play. So there's a few chaos banked. I'm saving them for, a rainy day. But the clouds are forming. So you've arrived on the property. So those of you in the cornfield, you're heading towards these 3 buildings, the kind of farm proper. You see the van pull up. You all see each other and can reconnect. Is there a particular structure you'd like to visit first? Because it looks like you have 3 options.
I think I'm going to say, Tempest, I don't know. It's obviously, this is a problem we're going to have to fix soon because you can see the house over the corn. So other people could see it's a castle. It's a castle now.
Yeah.
I mean, we could also, they could say there was, renovations and that they're trying to start a Ren Fair up in this area. I mean, the castle
I like the
could
Ren Fair idea.
Yeah, we could twist that. Right, Krista? We could, yeah.
I've certainly heard reports of there being a Ren Fair in the area.
All right, good. I don't. This is a little big for me to put in a box.
Yeah, I mean, if we spin this right, the digital aspects of it we could say that's new technology. I've seen some light displays that were really weird around Halloween.
Yeah,
so
a lot of theme parks use projections.
Yeah, well, we're just saying they're expanding the family farm into a Ren Fair theme park.
They were testing expanding, perhaps, and found it was too expensive to keep up.
Yeah.
That's a good
Something
one.
Like that, yeah.
So our resident PR agent has got this handled. But now you are a short distance away from these 3 buildings. Are you going to be staying here and planning, or are you going to head towards one of the 3?
I think we got to get to that attic.
Yeah. The attic sounds interesting. I just want to clarify, there are none of these creatures that you were describing before running around the grounds, or there are?
There are. So, but they're geographically isolated. So there's a large warrior with red armor and a horned helmet and a big hammer, and he is prowling around the what looks is a barn, but it's transforming into a stable. And then there is a warrior, a woman wearing green armor, and she is walking around the grain silo that's turning into a castle. I'm sorry, a tower on the right. And they are strangely geographically isolated, like they are kind of walking in the same pattern over and over again.
Okay.
Like,
So
Can we see them from where we're standing?
yeah, and they should be able to see you, but they are
If-
acting like you're
Well,
not.
if we
It's like-
want to take a look at that attic door before we deal with them, why don't we
Yeah,
do
they're-
that before they see us?
they
However,
seem pretty self-contained, so I think
They're in that-
we don't have to worry too much about loose ends with them. We can just let them do the circle
Yeah, they're in
for
that,
a minute and
that
maybe.
video game pattern, it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see, he just repeated it.
heard that they're going to that the door had 3 things that we needed to enter it to be able to get into the attic.
Yeah, the police told
And-
us there were 3 holes in the door with different shapes.
yeah, one of them's a diamond.
Do we think
one's
this
a
shield is maybe one of them? And
Let's go find out.
well, maybe we have to defeat those 2 to get our little pieces.
Yeah.
Hey.
While everyone's like working out that, I'm gonna look at their patterns.
Mhm.
If I'm at a vantage point, I'm just gonna see their patterns and how they turn and everything. And I'm treating it how I treat every single video game I've ever played. Sneak up behind them and maybe stabby stab.
Yeah, it's. I mean, this is a video game. The the Voyage of Heroia is a video game from the mid '80s, and it's got that level of video game technology informing it. They're just walking in a simple pattern. One's walking in like a circle around the tower, and the other one's walking in like a figure 8 pattern in front of this barn stable. So that doesn't seem particularly complicated.
Guarding the gate.
Yeah, but as you're watching, you realize that the areas that they're walking in do seem to come close to the front of the house. Like the limit of one is close to the front of one of the house on one side, and the limit of the other is close to the front of the house on the other side. But there probably is a narrow alley where you could walk straight up to the house and kind of bypass them.
Let's get in the house just so we don't disrupt them from their pattern right now.
We can split too if somebody wants to take them on, but I'd like to at least look at this attic door and see what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stay out while you guys go into the attic. Go into the house. I'm going to jump ahead. I don't like reading directions or following prerogatives, so I'm gonna jump ahead and see if I can get one of these symbols thingies.
Okay, tell me what you mean by jump ahead and get one of these. Are you just going to run off and talk to one of the people?
Oh yeah, because I'm a timepiece. I can do the jump ahead thing.
You've got time.
I've always got time. So yeah, where are you? I'm going to use my we've got time.
You could, for example, use that power and roll, and on a success, you could go and do at least interact with one of these characters, and you would be back before they even reach the farmhouse. You've got time.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I want to do. I want to see what their I want to talk to them to see what their actual their
dialogue trees.
Right now. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
I want to see
their
their dialogue
mission.
tree.
Yeah.
What's their mission?
Yeah.
Fair.
Goodness,
Okay.
that was so hard for me to say.
No problem.
It's all good. Words are hard.
So, go ahead and roll your professionalism. So that is, you're going to roll six. This is what we do in Triangle Agency. Whenever you make a roll, you roll 6 4-sided dice. The only thing that counts as a success is a 3 on those dice.
Okay. So, I got a 3.
1 3 or 3 3s?
I got 1 3.
Okay. Okay. That's a success.
Not the best,
I mean,
but not the worst.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
could have been worse. You could have had none, which would have been even more fun for me. And I'm sure you, of course you. But
Yeah, no, we've got time. It's fine.
So just remember though, do you have any quality assurances in professionalism? So you might not have that available right in front of you, but you should have quality assurances in some of your skills. That's like 1 or 2 points here and there. And if you do,
1 point in professionalism.
so you can spend that if you like. In which case you would turn one of the 3s into 2 3s, and all that would really do is rob me of 1 point of chaos. But just, that is an option.
I will give you the chaos because I'm feeling generous right now.
Okay, well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that means I get 5 points of chaos.
That's
Nothing
the only
bad
generosity
could come
I'm
from
giving you
that.
this entire session.
So, all right. So you use your power. You feel that feeling that when time has slowed down around you and you're able to go. But as you're heading that way, someone steps out of the corn just right next to you, all of you. That person was not there a moment ago, but then a farmer steps out. They're holding like an old pitchfork, and they're wearing medieval clothes, and they say, "Please, my family needs to stay warm with the coming winter. If you bring me 5 shimmer squirrel hides, I will make it worth your while." And off in the distance, you see squirrels running around, but they are two-tailed and glowing with a divine light. And they're kind of like beep, 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 running around. So you've been presented with an NPC giving you a side quest. And they continue to cry out, "Help, my family. Don't let us starve or freeze. You monster, would you make my children die? How dare you? Please. The winter will be cold. We need those shimmer squirrel hides.
This
There's
is
a
group,
reward
right?
for you."
Not just me.
Yeah, everybody can see and hear
Okay,
this.
cool.
What do? Ignore the farmer?
I am personally going to ignore the farmer because my eye is already like glowing, and I'm basically the Flash right now. I'm headed to. I'm in the Speed Force, and I'm kind of just heading to my own objective.
So Tempest zips away, and all of you are like, "Where did they go?" So let's pause. Well,
Typical.
I'll come back to you, Tempest. So everyone else, this farmer steps out. Tempest disappears in the way that with a streak, which you have come to learn means, "I'll be right back."
Can I use one of my absence? Inspect the place where something once was.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Tell me more.
Yeah, I want to see if I can tell what triggered this change. So kind of go back to the point where everything went 8-bit and see if I can tell what that was, how that happened.
So let me look for this.
Or anything else that the GM wants to, bequeath upon me that might be helpful.
Oh, I see how it is. Let me get to the absence. Which is this one of the specific abilities?
Yeah, negatives.
Ah, yes. So you will roll attentiveness, and you will learn the lost history of a place. Excellent. Oh, absolutely. Roll attentiveness. First of all, do you have any quality assurances in attentiveness?
I do indeed.
Okay. Because one little bit I didn't use last session, which is if you want to roll on using a stat and you have no quality assurances in it, either you don't have any left or you never had any, you actually roll with what's called burnout. And that means your first 3 doesn't count.
Well, I rolled 6 dice, and not a 1 was a 3. So
Ooh,
can I
ew.
pull from my attentiveness to flip those over to 3s? And what's the ruling on that? How many can I do? Just 1, or
How many
can I
quality
use all 3?
assurances do you have?
I have 3 in attentiveness.
Okay, let's see what happens. I am looking at the rules because I too am learning this game as we go.
Yeah, we are all learning this together. So players, audience, GM, we are learning this very cool system all at the same time, and we'll try to help you with it as we go. We'll tell you all the things.
So let's see. When you roll, if there are 0 3s in your roll, that's a failure. I will very quickly look and see if you can spend quality assurances to when there's a failure. Are not based. It doesn't. I don't think there's any rule against. Yes, you can spend it even if you've rolled a 0. So
Okay, cool.
you,
And so,
yeah.
how many do I do? 1 at a time, or do I have the choice between how many?
It's 1 for 1. You can say like I want to spend 3 if you want. If you've got 3,
Okay.
Do you have 3 quality assurances in attentiveness?
Yeah, remind me and the audience what is a failure and what is a success. How many 3s and all of that?
Do you mean for this specific ability? That is listed in your absence power, and it says on a success, which is a single 3, you will be able to see this lost history. Now, every third 3, you may say 1 sentence about what was lost and make it true. So you can dictate a bit of the history of the space. But you don't have 3 3s unless you burn all of your stuff.
I am going to burn all 3 of mine.
Okay.
And my sentence is going to be, when the castle appears, you shall gift your...
This is something in the past, remember.
Well, these people were here already, right?
Yeah.
They were here before everything turned into a castle? The 2 that are walking?
I didn't know who the you was. You just said you shall. You mean the digital people?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was working through my sentence. I hadn't finished.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Feel free to help me.
I'm over caffeinated.
Yeah. No, it's all good. No, I was just working through. Yeah. So essentially what I want to say is, when the castle appears, Guardian, the Guardian and the townsfolk shall bequeath their items to, and then I'm going to describe what Daisha is wearing. The one wearing whatever Daisha is wearing.
Okay.
The one with the suitcase.
So,
ooh, that would be. Can I amend it and say the one with the suitcase?
So the way this is supposed to work, I'll allow a version of this, but it says when you succeed, you see the lost history of the place you're inspecting. For example, if a note was present but then removed, you will see what the note read. If an object was present but then stolen, you will know what it was and how it was stolen. On every third 3, you may say 1 sentence about what is lost, and that sentence is true. So that means that there was instructions about what they were supposed to do, and you are kind of adding instructions to them because some of these instructions are lost. Okay.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
With the castle as a trigger.
Yeah. Let's say that when the castle appears, yes, they know that they're supposed to bequeath their seals or their crests to
crest. That was the word. I was trying to think of it.
To certain adventurers who will help save their dying land, and they look like y'all. Okay, that sentence is now true. You don't get a trace sentence because that trace sentence is when you roll exactly 3 3s. and then you get extra stuff happens. But that's only when you actually roll them, not when you buy it with your quality assurances. But please do note that you've spent those 3, and so the penalties of having no more in that skill will be relevant if you roll again.
Yeah. I'm learning the system. I'm going big or go home.
There you go. So you've got the NPC quest giver is standing there going, help my family. And you're all like, to heck with you.
Oh, no. Krista is going to say to the NPC farmer, say what, darling? And use her whisper ability called say what to try and change what the farmer was going to say. And she is going to use one of her quality assurances to make it not a failure.
Okay. So just to be clear, Zelda's roll did generate 3 chaos for me. And now Krista's Krista's power will generate 5 chaos for me. That's 8 chaos I've just gotten. Thank you.
Oh, you get the chaos even if I flip it?
Well, you only flip 3 out of 6.
Oh, and the 3s only the 3s don't matter on if you buy it up.
Yeah, if you get a Transcendence, you can only get a Transcendence if you naturally roll the 3 3s.
Okay.
If you buy 3 back,
I wasn't sure about the chaos part.
I think all 3s are no chaos.
Yeah,
you just don't
right,
get Transcendence, but you do get no chaos when you have 3.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
No, you're right. You're right. So the 3s mean 0 chaos. You just don't get the special Transcendence effects. But I just got, if Krista's spending 1 on a 0 roll, that's 5 chaos for me. I will find my way to chaos eventually.
That was part of why I was accepting the 5 was because I was like, oh yeah, it's got 3 of it didn't happen. But yeah, no, the what the farmer will say now is, I'm happy to see you. My family is digital and cannot starve. I shall give you the reward because the squirrels were a fetch quest anyway.
Oy vey.
I want the squirrels as a pet. How do we make that happen?
So, all right.
I don't have to do what I was going to do.
I'm here for that. So, 2 things. You're that's your whisper ability, yes?
Correct.
You have, I'm going to do something special here because you have reprogrammed the game in a way that is particularly appropriate to the programming of this thing. This farmer starts to glitch, and his pitchfork transforms into a spear, and his farmer outfit transforms into like a simple footman, kind of garb. He has like a pot helm and like a chain, a mail, tunic or vest or something. And he's just there and he says, for king and glory. And he just starts following you around. You now have a retainer.
I think we have a pet.
So you've got an NPC assistant that will follow you around and help. And you don't know this, but I'm going to tell you anyway. The character's name in the code is Null, N-U-L-L.
Love it.
So
this is the cheat code. You were like
amazing.
XY.
Yeah, you've accidentally activated a programmer's backdoor character that they used for testing and whatnot.
Up, down, right bumper, left bumper.
Yeah, and this is a glitchy, pixelated, vaguely humanoid collection of boxes. It doesn't even look like a person anymore, and it's wielding this glowing spear. And he's been added to your party, following you around the rest of the mission. He's an unfinished character cut early in the game's development, and he speaks only in digitally corrupted voice, saying only 2 broken battle phrases: "For king and glory." And then once combat begins, he says, "Have at you."
Incredible.
I love it. I love it so much.
I'm obsessed with this one.
So Null is just standing there, and
Good old Null.
yeah. Congratulations. So,
Agency, can we keep him?
Right.
well, that might be a loose end. You never know. We can talk about it. All right.
Comes
So,
with two squirrels with two tails that glow.
yeah. So those are still running around. There are these what are called shimmer squirrels running around the area. And to go back to our timepiece, Tempest, you have Zap. Which one are you going to? The barn or the tower?
Which one's closest?
I was kind of describing
Equal
them as
distance,
either.
of course.
Yeah. Yeah, they actually are because you went over to where the van is on the road.
Yeah.
And so there's one to the left and one to the right.
So even though I was gonna go to the barn, the odds I'm going to the tower, so I'm going to the barn.
Okay. So there's a large red barn, and as you approach it, you can see it's filled with old hay, old piles of hay and rotting wood, and there's a bunch of feral cats wandering around in the barn.
Of course.
Kind of like country farm look, but it is starting to glitch, but you can see a couple things. One, the cats are strange. Their eyes are glowing, and each of them seems to be taking up a spot on top of a stack of hay or box of old equipment. And there is a muscle-bound hero or character here, a voyager, if you will. These are the Voyagers of Heroia, is actually the names of this group of characters. And he is a beefy horned battle cleric in full plate, and he has a tremendous haul. He stands up when you approach, or he kind of turns, and in Heroia, this is called you can tell those horns aren't on his helmet. They actually go through his helmet. He's a demon. He's known as as the other guy, the woman Lorelei was an Elvork. He says he turns and he faces you and he says, "Take me to see the grand hero, or taste my maw." And he starts coming at you like threateningly. He has got rippling muscle and a ridiculous voice actor. And he is kind of hamming it up as he comes towards you. And on his chest is a red diamond-shaped crest emblazoned with mountains.
I'm going to remember watching Marcus Heil play this video game, because these were his three favorite characters in the game that you're encountering here. And I'm going to remember when I looked back into his past at his the very significant memory to him, his playthrough of how he recruited this man and basically go through the same dialogue branches.
He says, "Worry not, your downfall is for a good cause. Embrace it. Do not stand between me and the grand hero." And then he swings at you, and he has a pattern. It's an attack pattern.
Yeah,
he swings right, he swings left, he swings down the middle.
You do that
3 times.
Dodge
and then
right, dodge left, and step back. Basically like a grandmaster of kung fu, just like, okay, all right, okay.
He goes, "Haha, you are a fine partner in this dangerous dance. You have to show me your training routine after I crush you." And then he pulls it, and the third time he brings it down, and you just know to step back, and he starts huffing and puffing. He says, "There's no conflict I've failed to overcome. This must be no different." And then he says, it kind of glitches a bit, and he goes, "Take me to see the grand," and he starts repeating his dialogue. So you've exhausted the dialogue, but you'll notice that he's slower and more fatigued looking now.
I'm gonna keep playing through the dialogue branches until he wears himself out and glitches to the point where he's like, I'm done. I've got nothing left.
All right. So
I've got time, so I will loop this bitch.
So yeah, you're surprised how long it takes, actually, and you're getting irritated because you actually have to do it quite a bit. He has apparently, there's very dimly above his head, you see something diminishing, and you realize he's got a stamina bar that's going down slowly with every swing, and it takes forever, and it's annoying, but this is one of the routes to defeat him. And then he says, and he's now what he's doing is he's actually taking words from his dialogue and he's mixing them together to make new sentences, which seems to be really difficult for him to do. Like he's having to concentrate really hard to like use the voice lines he's been programmed with in new ways. And he's like, embrace, no, downfall, strength, no strength, crush. This is different. And he starts lowering his maul and he's huffing and puffing. And you realize you could just walk up and take the crust off his chest because he's barely able to lift his maul at this point.
I'm going to pat him on the shoulder. Good job, buddy. And take it.
He stands up and puts this maul over his shoulder. And all of a sudden it's like he's just fully recovered. And he goes, you must be... I remember you. And then there's a glitch again. And he says, I was tasked with giving the crests to adventurers who came to help us bring the grand hero. But I see no briefcase. That was, if you don't remember, that was how the history got altered. Yeah.
I'm just gonna roll with it and just be like, I left it with a friend. I shall return to them post haste.
You already have the crest.
Yeah, so I'm like, as I'm saying this, I'm like locked eyes, but I'm backstepping and just walking away.
He nods and says, well, know this day you have defeated a hell muscle, a hulking giant of the nether depths of the land of Heroia. Be proud, warrior.
I will put that on my resume. Thank you so much.
And then he goes and he lays down and all the cats come out of the barn and crawl around him and cuddle up and sleep and he falls asleep. And on that, I think now is a good time to take a break. And so we'll take I have it as roughly the minute after the top of the hour. So let's do 10 minutes after the top of the hour, if that's okay. And then we can return and you can see about, should you choose, to getting that third and final crest and seeing what happens when you open that door in the castle/farmhouse.
Here we go.
Just stay frozen. Right.
Tempest, did you mess with time again?
Yes, I did.
so.
And I'm just working on my clock right now. Just give me a second.
Okay. See if we can't get that fixed. Well, I guess our break is a casual hangout. It's a staycation.
It's a staycation.
Yeah.
We're going to have our mochachinos and just chill.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
I have messaged our lovely tech support and called the agency for tech support.
So yeah, would one of you like to roll the dice to alter reality with the agency calling them in?
I think Daisha should roll because Daisha has not rolled yet.
Daisha looks like Daisha's eating some food.
That's a good point. And I have these great little pixel dice.
I love that.
Hearts.
That's so
Oh my gosh, so cute.
See, it's like how much life you've got left. Yes.
That's crazy. I want dice like that.
Right?
I know. Is this where we show off all our dice? We could just start showing off. I have
It's actually a really cool dice maker.
my precious.
They do advent calendars stuff. I would shout them out. I don't know if I'm allowed. I mean, like I don't know. XP Society will allow me, but they're cool peeps.
Oh, look at there's some more dice.
Oh, I'm rolling digital dice because I don't have enough actual ones. But this is my death dice that I've got.
Ooh, those look like you could kill somebody with them.
They're like metal, and they've got Grim Reapers all over them.
That's pretty effing metal.
We don't have time to look at my dice collection.
I keep glancing over at mine, like, no. All right.
As the producer of the show, I'm gonna say, go ahead and shout them out, and I will get in trouble.
Well, they're
From the channel.
it's Black Oak Dice. They do like really cool advent calendars and stuff like that too. But they have a lot of cool like little gaming mechanic stuff. There's like the thing that came with this was also a like 2-sided dice or a coin kind of dice, but it had first player, second player on either side of it. So that was fun too.
That's cool.
But yeah, Black Oak Workshop. They're really cool peeps.
Awesome. So should we just keep going then?
If you don't mind, let's just keep going. I'm hoping that
Fine with me.
our tech support is okay
Yeah.
right now.
So
I mean, I could cut the stream, but then I'd rather
Yeah.
not do that.
no. So Tempest, you're once you've completed that part of the quest, he goes to sleep and you are back with the group. You find yourself back at the barn or back in front of the farmhouse, and everyone has just finished talking to this farmer that emerged, and he's no longer a farmer. You now have Null, the foot soldier that's following you around, and he says, "For have at thee," and things like that.
I'm not doing another combat thing. So, guys, I got this thing. Will it help? And I show them the crest that I got from.
Looks like another crest.
Yeah.
Add it in. Yeah.
So you can go into the farmhouse. You can go to the grain silo.
If I leave you guys here, are you gonna collect another NPC?
I wouldn't put it past me not to.
But look at him. He's really cute.
Yeah, but this is going to be a later. This is not going to. This will be a later problem. I would. Yeah, right, Krista.
It's a PR problem.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm going off the assumption that once the game stops working, he'll stop being there.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, I don't
that's
think
what
we
I'm
get to keep
guessing as
him.
well.
Yeah, well, you'll just have to find out. And
Well, we've got 2 of these. Do we
Okay.
want to get the third, or do we want to just go up
Say
and
at
take a look
this-
at the door first?
So above table, I'm just a little confused. I'm holding one. Tempest just got one.
And
Is
there's-
the one following us did not have one?
Oh,
No, he was a random
there's like
NPC.
a princess or something.
There's
Yeah,
a third
there's
one
one
over
around.
there.
there's a guy with a hammer.
There's the
Yeah,
warrior
you got the hammer
woman.
guy, and then there's a woman.
You got
There's a
hammer guy.
woman in green.
The woman in green
Is by the
Yes,
green
yes.
bin.
Okay.
You want to send
Yeah.
the NPC to try and get it? Or like, oh wait, no, the guy mentioned somebody with a briefcase. So whoever has the briefcase, they'll just hand you the crest.
Oh,
If you
all right.
guys,
Oh.
yeah, if we want to
Did
just
you-
pick
did
that
you-
up real quick.
Did you forget your briefcase? I mean, we all have a standard issued briefcase. Did you forget yours again?
I have this, and I don't
Mm,
bring the briefcase. It just seems like a
I
lot.
mean, I really only keep my shovel in my briefcase anyway, so.
Like I'm just showing off this really old, and it looks like it's broken pocket watch, but like I know it works for me. So like
Hmm.
we probably could have that commissioned into a briefcase.
I don't need a briefcase. It goes with my aesthetic right now. Like
Could we maybe get our briefcases to be more of like a sling bag or a backpack? Is that something?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
just
you can talk to the
Can't-
agency
can't
about
hurt.
it, but
yeah,
they
a cross
issue
body bag would be
normal briefcases is what they issue.
yeah.
Designed by their
So-
scientists to be the least noticeable, most nondescript
Yeah.
carrying object.
So
does.
do we want
Does
to
Chris just have a
try
report on it?
the briefcase maneuver first to see if they just pony it up at the side of the
Yeah.
briefcase?
I
Might as
mean,
well.
like I think it was part of the dude's coding because he went back to default and then fell asleep after I took this. So
All right.
yeah.
Might as well head that way.
Yeah, let's go see.
See if this maiden in the green dress will give me the prize because I have a briefcase.
All right, so you turn to
I'm
the
gonna
right.
go with I'm gonna go with Daisha
Okay.
to
I'll just
see if I
assume
can help in that.
everyone's going.
Yeah,
We all gonna go?
I just want to. I'm going to watch at this point. Like I did my part of the quest, so I just want to see how they handle it.
All right.
Okay, so we all gonna troop over
So you
with
walk
Null in
over.
tow.
Yeah. And one thing you notice now that you're all together again, and Tempest, you may have noticed this before, but you had time, but you're also strangely moving quickly when you do that. When you step towards the grain silo, there's that digital music playing that's been kind of the background, this whole area. It just changes. And the music was different over by the barn, and it's different over here. Each of the areas have a different background music. All the digital stuff, though. So this aging steel grain bin is near. You can tell that it's nearly empty. At ground level, there's a door sitting ajar, and there's just a little bit of corn on the ground inside. But then it glitches occasionally, and it looks like a medieval tower. And walking around is a loyal and proud a woman in green armor, and that's kind of flowing and decorated with a variety of grazing creatures. And she wields a fine curved blade and carries a yellow diamond-shaped crest with images of rolling fields on a necklace. She turns and looks at you and says, "Hello, name. I am Kerbash. We must hurry to quest location."
Yes. But first, I think you have something for me.
And she says, and she gets this really pained look on her face, and she says, I can't remember. I know I needed to find the others. There were others like me. I'm forgetting. The entire world is forgetting. I can't let my world fall back into the dark times before the Grand Hero arrived and enlightened us all. The Council of Mages sent us to save our world from the darkness, but I can't remember what I'm supposed to do. It's important that we active quest. I won't wait for character any longer. So you get the impression that this person's memory of what happened in her history, is corrupted. She's not hostile, but she doesn't know what she's supposed to do, and so the briefcase hack of reality that was very effective with the previous fella she knows there's something she's supposed to do. Maybe find the Grand Hero, maybe give you the crest, maybe both, but she's struggling. She looks like she needs something to help remind her of what's going on. She doesn't even know why she's been sent out exactly or who she's supposed to find.
Does she have the crest? Do I see the whatever the item is on her?
Yeah, it's on a necklace. It's just like an amulet around her neck on a necklace.
Okay.
And then she starts repeating these puzzling lines, right?
I'm so sorry.
I'm gonna try seeing if filling in some of the gaps for her helps her. So I'm gonna step forward and just start talking to her and say, "We're friends of the Grand Hero. We've come here in search of those who have served him in the past. We have been sent to receive the crests needed for the Grand Hero to save Heroia."
You see, she's processing. Heroia. That's where I'm from. Oh, that's where I'm supposed to help. I'm supposed to find the
Grand Hero Marquis.
And then the light comes on. Ding. And she says, "You have briefcases. You're his emissaries." And she just rips the amulet off, and she kneels down before you and presents it like she's presenting it to royalty.
I take it in a very, very grandiose gesture in the vein of all the famous female theme park characters.
And she said,
"Thank you, good warrior.
The future of our world depends on player name.
Marquis."
Marquis. You're not Marquis. Marquis?
"We are here on Marquis' behalf."
Yes, there you go. Thank you. And she hands it over, and then she starts to glitch, and each time she glitches, there's fewer pixels. She keeps glitching and glitching and glitching, and she's slowly fading and like what's the word I'm looking for? Losing her integrity.
Yeah.
So the corruption that's been robbing her of her memory now that she's given this crest away and kind of completed her role is fading. This is your favorite kind of loose
Transitioning.
end, Krista. Yeah.
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 Krista kind of looks and starts piecing. She goes, "At those cartridges, they were first because they had batteries in them, yes? They could hold the save.
Yeah. Yeah.
In about 30 years, the battery would maybe stop being able to hold power."
Yeah, those cartridges did not. What does the castle house look like right now?
Oh, yes.
But before you describe that too, I just want to note that Zelda is just bored and she's just kind of chilling back, and she's basically snacking on some caviar, got her little crackers out, and she's just waiting for everybody to do what they got to do.
So I will describe you. So while Zelda luxuriates in her snacks and is bored with the proceedings, you look at the farmhouse and you can see it's a 2-story whitewashed farmhouse, a large front porch. The backside, there's a rusted windmill. There's an old concrete well. But when you look closer, it glitches and you can see that something's wrong. The attic level is constructed out of large flagstones, painted white in line with the rest of the house. And on the upper level, there's thin openings every dozen feet or so along the stone, like arrow slits. There are red and yellow medieval pennants hanging from the back of the windmill, which again, out of place. It looks like somebody entered the front. There's a bunch of dirt being tread into the front of the house. There's police tape that's been torn and it flaps in the wind. There's no sign of any struggle out front. There is a crude metal tankard tossed on the ground in front of the house, like a medieval, like a pewter or something mug. There is, instead of a porch light, there's iron sconces that have a flickering flame in them. And you hear the crunch, the kind of like pixelated digital 8-bit electronic music shifts as you start to like it's really, you just turn your attention to it and the music starts changing. And as you do so, you can see it continue to the anomalies domain, which is the area that's like, it's where the anomaly is spatially located, focused is here. You can tell because this is where the changes and reality warping is most intense. And the whole area is being transformed into the video game. It's expanding downward and spreading, and the farmhouse right before your eyes is changing. It's the ground is starting to become pixelated. The plants that are growing in the garden nearby are turning into these little pixelated green sprigs coming out of the ground. So it's accelerating is the impression you get. What would you like to do?
I think we have an attic we need to visit.
Yeah. Go
Agreed.
inside. But I think I want to go inside thinking with everything we've heard from these different digital characters say the heroes or Heroia is where we're at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Voyagers of Heroia.
The Voyagers of Heroia are here to save the day.
All right. So you're going to enter into the farmhouse / castle?
Yep.
Okay. As you do, the music becomes more intense, and the lighting is kind of unnaturally darkened as you step onto the porch, as though you're stepping into like a castle keep. The inside, as you look in, the place is torn apart. You can see a living room, a kitchen, a dining room. They're all ransacked. There are bloodstains. And there are bullet holes in the wall. There's a china cabinet that's smashed. At the opposite side of the room, You can see there's all kinds of chaos in here. But what's interesting is that some of the damage is glitching into, like there's the china cabinet's been knocked over, and some of the plates are like bzz, 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 turning into these digital 8-bit things. There, the back wall where there would have been clearly a TV is a tapestry of dragons fighting, and there's a dagger stabbed into this tapestry. And then there's stairs that go up, but they are kind of turning into, like a medieval castle's grand stair, you might say. But there's no, you see no movement or creatures here.
Let's go.
Yep.
Start up
to the
the
attic, I
stairs.
guess. Yeah.
All right. As you walk up towards the stairs and through this pixelated environment, the music becomes more intense, and you are clearly hearing what anyone who played video games like this would recognize as, this is the boss music, right? And there's a strange glowing, floating little diamond that's outside of the door that would open onto the second floor, and the boss music is starting to play.
How's Null doing?
Null is walking behind you in the back and just saying, "For king and glory, have at you."
Thanks, Null.
That's the spirit.
So in front of you, you just see a simple door, but it's pixelated. And you see there is something like kind of shimmering on the door that if you want to go up fully onto the second floor, you can see there's like a blinking menu, like as if a pop-up window has occurred, and it's just been sitting there blinking slowly. And as you approach, you can see it's in the pixelated letter and in a pixelated font, it says, "It doesn't work." Then you remember the old man's words. "The gate of Heroia opens only when the three crests are united."
Well, can we see these slots that the police were talking about in the door?
So then as it stops blinking, like, when it's not visible, yes, there are 3 spots in this door. And it looks like a regular wooden door, right? It doesn't look impregnable, which is what the cops called it. But it has these 3 shapes that match, that are exactly just the crests in your hands.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to the one that matches my crest and look back at everyone like, we doing this? Like, I'm ready. Count of 3 situation.
Why not?
All right.
3,
One,
2,
2, 3.
A tone sounds with each placement, but when all 3, it's a harmony, right? And there's a blinking menu and a shimmering light kind of pop and they're gone. And the door swings open, and there's a wide hallway in front of you. And it looks just like the second floor of a farmhouse, weirdly, but it's been wrecked, right? So you can see some bedrooms. There's a master bedroom and then a small bedroom on the other side, and a bathroom. The small bedroom is an office, actually, and at the back there is on the ceiling in the middle of the hallway there is a big wooden hatch with like one of those pull down stairways. And you recall that Marcus said his bedroom was in the attic. One thing that some strange things you do see is that there are nesting wildlife here that are digital creatures. There's also drops of silver slime and a blood trail that leads through the wreckage across the floor and down the hall towards the hatch. The hatch has a seam down the middle, and it again has the 3 crest spots on it, because once you put it in, the door kind of released them back to you. And
Are the squirrels still running around?
yes,
Just on a whim, as we're walking by, Mora's gonna snatch one up as it runs by her, just to see if any kind of achievement or something happens.
So as you grab it, and it squeaks and shimmers, and then it transforms into like a glowing pelt. And you see you now have a shimmering pelt glowing with divine light. And Null says, have at you.
Yes.
No.
Mhm.
I just kind of tuck the pelt in my pocket for now.
Okay. Yeah, it does seem to, like a little bring sounds off when
Yeah.
when you do so. So you are you're at the attic
Counts
door.
one of three.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's this kind of just an attic door, hatch, and if you put the 3 crests in it, the door falls away, and the whole scene is digitally transformed into a pixelated, magical, a gilded spiral staircase that magically lowers from above. Right. And you can climb this spiral staircase, and you find yourself in a childhood bedroom, dusty but unchanged from 30 years ago. Right. And what you see is in this room, there's a bed with an old, blanket on it. And on the right, there is a glowing old, CRT television. And it sits at the base of a wooden entertainment center. And there's a yellowing game console on the ground in front of it. And there's a large this window looks out on, as you look out the window to the right, in the attic window, the landscape around the farm is slowly turning into this pixelated fantasy landscape as the anomaly grows and strengthens. But from where the game console, this yellowing plastic box with a little cartridge stuck in the top, there's a spiral of ethereal pixels, and a shade of an image emerges out of it that looks like a pixelated Grim Reaper floating with a long scythe held at the ready. And it stands between you and the cartridge. And you can see the cartridge is now glowing behind it. It has a scroll case. This Grim Reaper has a scroll case hanging from its belt. And you can kind of partially see through the semi-translucent ghostliness that there's some sort of decree there. It's hanging from this digital ghost's belt. And you just know somehow by looking at this, that's the king's decree that gives this anyone who carries this, they are the defenders of Heroia. And so this creature, this being, it has this scythe, and it stands there floating, waiting, seeing what you're going to do.
Should we show him the crests?
I guess.
Yeah.
Alternatively.
No, alternatively what?
I mean, if I can get to the cartridge, I can, how gone do we want this? Do we want mostly gone or never existed problem gone?
Aren't we here to get rid of it? So never existed seems good.
We'll take anything you can do.
Yeah. If I can
It
get to
will
the
suck
cartridge.
for Mark because if it never existed, then he loses that memory with his family. But I mean, how
Things
pivotal
outside are
could that
turning
be?
digital, so yeah.
Make the magic happen.
I don't know what happened. I was leading up to here. Where does it lead in the room?
Question where the exact location is here.
Yeah, that's something we probably
I
should
assume
have
it was
done.
this.
Oh, we do kind of need to find the parents.
Yeah. The blood trail leads to the video game cartridge. Yeah, it leads right up into the console.
Oh,
That's a problem.
Yeah.
if the cartridge never existed, wouldn't that?
So we're talking about the catalog's power to make something go away.
Actually, my
So usually you can't use that to get rid of an anomaly. And this, you can tell, this is the source of the anomaly. It is, and I think Krista identified it before, the world that's stored in that memory of this cartridge is losing power. And it,
Yes, what we really need to do is get that cartridge into a briefcase as opposed to destroying it.
And I know this is gonna sound terrible, but is it okay if we just send Mark like a letter or something? It's like, sorry, we went on a vacation, or they went to a different farm.
so you all are standing there. I'm just going to insert some chaos. You're all standing there. You're like, what do we do? And then, well, there's a flash, and you see this wave ripple out from the cartridge. And it's pixelated, and everything, including you, your bodies, become pixelated. And you feel yourself drawn into or absorbed into this anomaly. And the top level of the farmhouse explodes out of as this kind of like, you're now inside this anomaly. This is now magic from this medieval game, transforms the entire Heil property into a miles-wide fantasy landscape. The ground below you glitches entirely out, and you find yourself in, and each of you is dropped into a cell. You are now each of you in a castle dungeon. There is a stairway on the far end. You look down, you are a pixelated version of yourself. You looked at your fellows, and you're all pixelated. You're 8-bit versions of you. And you each are carrying a single shining silver key. And each of those mirrors the ability, your anomaly abilities. So you recognize that you brought with you into this magical world something that most prisoners in this castle wouldn't have, which is you too have the ability to warp reality, even in this anomaly, having the touch of an anomaly yourself. And because you have anomaly powers of your own, you have a key to this cell that can get you out. But you know that somewhere here are Marcus's parents and the anomaly itself, because the anomaly will usually take on a persona from what drew it. And it's here somewhere, and you need to confirm.
Are the keys to the cells themselves like hanging, like the like jailer's keys? Are they hanging on a wall where we can see them?
No, they're literally in your hands.
No, I was just wondering if there were, so we can get out of our own cells, but like the parents are still locked up as well, correct?
Yeah, there's no other keys available, nor are there other cells that you see right now. Okay. But if you do unlock your own cell and start looking around, you hear someone crying, and through the door into the next room, you see there's another cell, one more cell, and it has 2 older people sitting in it. But they speak normally. They are digitized, but they look like an old farmer couple, medieval farm couple. And they look up and they say, "What's happening? Who are you? Can you help us?"
We're here to help. Hold on just a second. I'm going to use my anomaly to create a tunnel opening to let them out of their cell.
Okay.
So that we can keep them with us as we move through this.
All right, go ahead and roll, and that is, let's see, catalog. I've got that right here. That
No, I'm
is-
manifold.
Oh, I'm sorry, manifold. Yeah, catalog is
Yeah.
Daisha. Manifold. So you are knowing a shortcut?
Yes, I know a shortcut. I'm using I know
You
a
get to
shortcut.
roll the initiative, and I believe you have quality assurance in that.
I do not have quality assurance and initiative.
Then you're rolling with burnout, so that means 1-3 doesn't count.
1-3 goes. Okay.
Mm.
That's all I had.
Okay. Da-da-da-da-da.
What is with the
Got a
rolls
failure.
today?
Oh, what is your failure condition?
The failure condition is that the tunnel I tried to create ends up. Let's see.
It says, yeah, it leads somewhere very inconvenient. Instead of the desired location, it is persistent and visible to everyone on both ends. So you say, oh, I can do this. You're going to open up a portal, a tunnel through this like cage, the prison bars.
Mhm.
And you do so, and a shimmering portal appears, but instead of you seeing the man and woman, the mother and father, you see that they're behind this portal, but the portal itself opens up, and there's the two police officers standing there, and they look over and they go, "What the what?" And they're scrambling to get their radios. Yeah, so that happened. Krista, you know what this means.
Sorry, guys.
Loose
Oh.
ends. But the woman, Mrs. Heil, you assume, looks over and says, pardon me, dearie, could I borrow your key?
Oh, of course. I hand her my key.
And she unlocks the door and says, I don't know what that is. And she kind of sidesteps past the portal.
Just ignore that.
And the police are like, what the? And they're regular people. They're just beyond the limit. And they're like, the whole world's turning crazy. And
yeah, Krista's going to step through the portal.
Okay.
And
By the way, when you emerge at the other side, you're still pixelated. So you're a pixelated you in a non-pixelated world. They're terrified at this sight.
Yeah.
What would you like to do?
So she's going to say to them, and I just let me look over my powers again, because I just realized that she might not do this because she can't actually super convince people. So I think she is going to try and get the agency to change reality to back up what she's saying.
Okay.
Because she is going to say, surely, darlings, you've heard of the Tales of Heroia 30th anniversary, and you knew that there were some publicity stunts that had to be happening. And
Roll your dice.
And nothing that she said is technically a lie.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
1 success.
Okay, that is enough. Although it gives me 5 chaos. Thank you. So the full version of this ability is when you do it, not only do you ask what you want different in the present, you get to tell a story. So for example, in this case, you might say something like, well, remember how you saw those magazines that they were advertising? It just so happens that the magazines on the back of the toilet in the police department were those magazines. And so they saw this and they're like, oh yeah, I just read about that. So they know what you're talking about. And they're like, really? That's some cool makeup. Are you like one of them cosplayers? So they seem, for the moment, to have bought it. Meanwhile, back in the farmhouse, this portal is still there, by the way. You could like step back in and rejoin your friends. You've got the parents. They are, a little roughed up, clearly scared and confused, but okay. You just need to figure a way what to do about the anomaly itself. And you can hear suddenly, as you're doing this, let's see, you hear there's just stairs going up out of the dungeon, and you can hear that the music is loud and coming from out there. And What would you like to do? Would you like to head up and face the? You know that's the boss battle.
Yeah.
You've played enough video
I
games.
don't think we have much choice. I think we got to do it.
Let's get this over with. This pixelation does nothing for me right now. I look at my clock and it's just like do I still have my pocket watch, or is it turned into a key at this point?
No, yeah, everything that would emulate your anomalies is a key. You look like a medieval version of a pixelated version of yourself with a key. Everything is through this key. Now,
I did, of course, take my key back from the parents.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm looking at this key. It's like this key does nothing for me.
No, it's smaller than my shovel. That's not bad.
True. But weirdly, you know that it will still do what your shovel and your timepiece did.
Yeah, I know, but it doesn't fit my aesthetic at all anymore.
No,
so
ruined
I
it.
want to go up there.
So what's strange to you now is that as you ascend and open the door, you find yourself in this castle, and it's a castle. But what's weird, the space is messed up because this castle is huge. It's like a full-size medieval castle, far larger than the farmhouse was. Yet it somehow manages to be the farmhouse. And there's glitchy, pixelated darkness spreading through the sky all the way to the horizon. Beasts, pixelated fantasy beasts and creatures from outer Heroia are now, you see winged beasts that look like dragons flying through the sky and strange creatures wandering through the corn. The game world is going bonkers, but it's all pixelated and glitchy because you can see that the area is slowly dying with the battery. You see hundreds of warriors in shining armor that are holding back a glowing tide of these creatures, purple worms and wyverns and ogres and slimes that's surrounding the castle. And here, at least, it looks like the darkness represented by these monstrous creatures is slowly closing in. And this is the last little bastion of this Heroia that remains. And when you turn, you see that there is a man standing there who you realize it's the creature that you saw the shadowy version of.
Right.
This is like the sentinel that was guarding, not letting you at the thing, and says, the king must know you are powerful enough. This booming voice comes out, but it's like digitized, right? To truly protect Heroia and take up the mantle of the saviors of the realm, you bear their crests. We know that we have found our grand hero once more, and everything freezes. The monster's outside, this sentinel in front of you, and you can tell that the anomaly in the form of this world suddenly focuses, and from through this shadowy sentinel walks a king. And he is dressed he looks like a generic medieval king, but pixel version. And he approaches you and he says, our world is dying. I sent out our bravest warriors to get help. We hoped that we would be able to find the grand hero to return and bring us life again, like he did so long ago. If he were here and willing to stay, he could keep our world alive. He has the power within him. Will one of you stay to preserve our world?
Look at the time on this. I could potentially make a copy of myself that stays around for like an hour.
Well, your best self.
Do it.
I don't know. We gotta roll good. All right.
You only need one success to create an alternate version of yourself. They will have one particular skill useful to your current situation.
Mm-hmm.
A willingness to stay.
Right. Yeah, they'll just like, I'll stay. That's probably their skill set. Okay, let's see. Let's see.
You will
we
be
can
rolling
make
duplicity, an
yes.
important corporate skill.
It is. It is an important duplicate. Duplicates always. Of course, I don't. I thought I had. That's okay. It's fine. I'm not gonna look at the fact that there's only quality assurances in that. That's fine.
Do you have any quality assurances in duplicity?
I do not.
Okay. How many 3s did you roll?
I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about what just happened in my dice tray.
Okay.
I rolled 1.
Okay, and that's
What?
zapped by your burnout. You're like, So it says on a failure, you create an alternative version of yourself, but it is evil. You created an evil you.
Oh, yes.
It has goals and priorities opposite yours, and it is committed to getting in your way until dealt with. It will leave your world voluntarily only when satisfied by the changes it has made to your world. It says, we should destroy this. Heck with this place. And honestly, we should make sure you take the blame.
I'm going to use my anomaly, and I am going to use just keep walking
Okay.
on the duplicate, and I am going to back rooms that thing.
All right.
Ooh.
Okay, so you have to, in order to make this happen, you have to tie a knot in something. So you
Yes.
got cloth or string or a shoelace, anything. So
I'm going to pull out that pelt and tie a knot in that squirrel pelt.
You tie a shimmer squirrel pelt knot, and you
I'm so
roll
here for that.
persistence. Do you
And I
have...
roll persistence. I believe I have, let me see my quality assurances. I believe I have persistence. I do. I have a +3 persistence.
Okay.
Here we
Do that.
go.
Well, you'll be...
Get rid of that. Okay, I rolled 2 3s.
Okay, you want to spend 1 quality assurance to make that
I'm
3?
going to spend 1 quality assurance to make that 3.
Okay. For an additional 3, you may trap an additional target or make the maze last for additional rolls past the first. I'm not sure what quite that means, but you basically give this person directions, and they go somewhere, and they find themselves trapped in a maze of endless hallways.
Yes.
So,
and I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that bonus to keep them there longer.
Okay. So you use this anomaly, and the evil Daisha says, "That's right. I'm gonna mess everything up for all of you, and it's gonna go right down this way and do it." And walks off, and you hear what? Where? Oh, it's got to be around here somewhere. And they just wander off into the back rooms. They're gone for the rest of our story. And they will disappear eventually. You hope.
At least something went right.
I'm gonna lean over to Mora and be like, "Hey, do you want to do that again on like the king or somebody? Because like so we can get out of here."
Do you think that's gonna work though?
I mean,
kind of need to get the king to, like, don't we need to appease the king somehow to be able to get out of here?
So the king actually is kind of watching all of this happen, and then he says, "Look, if no one is willing to stay in this world, I understand. It's a great sacrifice, but if no one will stay, the land of Heroria will disappear. And please allow me to invest my power as king, and you know that means the anomaly power, in each of my heroes, in." Lorelei, and in Kerbash, which was the green one, and Raymond, which was the red one, and make them be able to live in your world. And they will gradually adapt. So you have a choice. You can basically say, heck with you, leave, this world dies. You can try and capture the anomaly, or destroy it. So you have 3 choices. Capture the anomaly by forcing it into the thing. You can destroy it by leaving and unplugging it or something like that. Or you can agree to let it invest its energies in the 3 heroes. What would you like to do?
Be allowed to bring let that happen?
You at this
I mean,
point, the anomaly has used all its moves, so to speak.
Yeah.
There's a lot of chaos built up, but for now, that seems to be.
I mean, we can always use more help at the office.
Yeah.
We can give
I
them a
mean-
job at the office, you know?
Yeah.
bringer.
Give them a purpose.
Okay.
You know, they're
Yeah.
kind of programmed to have a purpose. So I think if we take them to the agency, give them a purpose, they might adapt better.
Okay.
Yep, we could
Perhaps
put 'em
one
there.
of them could take a shot at working the coffee machine there.
Good
Yeah.
luck.
Or
Anything will be an
new
improvement.
people in the copy room.
Instead of the duplicate person.
We
Yeah.
already
That
have
is since last
Lorelai.
week.
So you've got Lorelai is already in the briefcase, and the
Yeah.
question is,
Got Lorelai.
but one thing about Lorelai is Lorelai right now is an anomaly that can't exist outside of the anomaly space.
Right.
But if you agree, all three of them will basically just become real people, and the anomaly goes away, and you've dispelled the anomaly. But there's these three medieval. They're no longer pixelated; they're like real, and but they don't know anything about the modern world or anything. They're like, I'm an Elvork, and what?
We just
We
keep
just
going
send
with
them to the
whole.
creature department.
Yeah, we just keep going with the whole,
Yeah.
it's all part of this medieval fantasy thing or whatever. So these guys
Yeah.
are in costumes and we just
Cosplay.
Okay.
they're just cosplayers. Everybody's already said
Yeah.
they've seen cosplayers. We
Yeah.
stick with the cosplayers.
Krista
Yep,
already
we're cleaning
did
it
a
up. Cleaning it up.
masterful PR move there with the portal step into the portal to the cops. This is all a PR thing for this video game, right? Oh yeah. All right, so
Let's do it. Let's take these guys home with us.
the king raises his hands and says, "Very well. May my power live on in my heroes, and the land of Heroria will be no more." And then everything
Quick, grab the
begins to
squirrel.
dissipate, and you find yourself in an attic of a farmhouse that clearly was once the room of a little boy. And standing with you are a very confused but grateful Mr. and Mrs. Heil.
Do they have any injuries?
Nothing's, it's all superficial.
Okay.
Right. So there was you get the impression that they had been badly injured or in the struggle. That's where the blood was coming from. But as a result, when they are returned healed. That was the anomaly. That was something that he did because, the king and this anomaly was supposed to be heroic and good. And they were trying to embody that.
Did they restore the farmhouse at all or is it still completely destroyed inside, everything knocked down?
I mean, it looks like a bunch of people had a fight. Yeah, it looks like it's been just trashed, but it doesn't. There's nothing abnormal anymore, right? It looks like somebody was shooting a gun often in the living room because you see that the farmer has a shotgun that is out of shells that he apparently grabbed when the anomaly's agents captured them and brought them up to the heart of the anomaly and put them,
You just have to call in Department 99. They'll take care of it.
So at this point, we will cut and there is an aftermath that you will learn about next time when we do the mission debrief. But I will let you know just a couple points. And because what we'll do is we will go through what's called the mission brief after next session. But just to give you a little taste, you did not capture the entirety of the anomaly. You only captured one of the minor anomalies. You did not capture the heart of the anomaly. So you do not get to, if you had captured it, the R&D division would get a new program that's called the Weaponized Nostalgia Program. That doesn't happen.
That's what we get for being nice.
You did not
Let that be a lesson to the rest of you.
You did not destroy the anomaly, which, good or bad, I'll leave that up to you. But I will say that had you done it, everyone for the next few months within a mile of this farmhouse would hear screams of horror through any electronic speakers as the last of the digital beings kind of dissipated. In this case, though, technically this counts as allowing the anomalies to continue to exist, or even in the lingo of the Triangle Agency's formal bureaucracy, escape. The Voyagers, the heroes, have fully actualized. They are real physical beings. They're able to carry. They actually are able to interact with the real world. You can choose to bring them back to the agency with you, and you get the impression as you gather them up to bring them back to your van to drive them, they're very suggestible. They don't really know what to do with themselves or who they are or what this world is.
Mora's going to, as they're heading back to the van, explain to the characters to tell the police that they're cosplayers, and we saw a bunch of hooligans trash the farmhouse. I just coach them on saying those words.
Fair. So as you get, so you are aware and painfully aware that there are some loose ends, two of which are the parents. So you'll have to decide how you want to deal with that next session. And then also Marcus, the grand hero. He is the one who's has something peculiar about him, that his particular nostalgia is what drew this anomalous power to change reality. And, you know, the R&D department might be interested.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, there you go. And so with that, we will end our mission, only to find out how exactly the agency's bureaucracy responds to the details of what you did next time.
How much trouble we're in.
That's right. And what we'll learn is how many commendations and demerits each of you receive, and who gets the most of each. Something special happens. We'll talk about that next time. All right, so let's go ahead and wrap up. I have everybody go around and remind the viewers who you are and where we can find you. Let's start with Krista this time, or I'm sorry, Winnie.
I am Winifred Yost-Zahn. I am, you can find me at anticapitalistcatgirl.com or Winnie Writes on Blue Sky. And yeah, so yep, that's me.
All right. How about you, Casper?
Ocio, I'm Casper DNB Ghost. That is Casper DANB Ghost. You can find me everywhere by those handles, but mostly on Twitch, Threads, Instagram, and now TikTok. Yay.
Ooh.
Oh, and Itch. You can find me at my Itch because I write
Cool.
a lot.
All right. And how about you, Jessiye?
Yeah, Jessiye, Jesse or Jessiye D, wherever the strange way I spell it. Find me at conventions or out and about or somewhere on the internet. And yeah.
Awesome. Shannon?
Somewhere on the internet, you will also find me. I am Imaginif in most places. I am AGINIF. You can also find me at Imaginif Media pretty much everywhere. On Twitch, I also have an itch that I forget to mention all the time, so thanks for that. But you can get all my links and find out where I am and everything that's going on at imaginif.shop. And you can also catch me on Don't Kill My Character, where I play Raven as part of Superhero Shenanigans, a Mutants and Mastermind series.
Awesome. And Barb?
Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. You can find me mostly on Blue Sky, Instagram, and Threads under Barb Bond VO, and at barbbond.com, and High XP Society in those three places, and YouTube, all at High XP Society.
Awesome. And I am Gwen Marshall. You can find me at Dr. Gwen Marshall on many of the socials. And this has been Triangle Agency from Haunted Table Games for the High XP Society. Thank you very much, everybody. And we'll be back next week with Quantum Shift, new shift, same problems. See you, gang.